good, bro.
Decent, mate.
Good. I'll start. Welcome back to what episode is it? Episode 7.
7.
Fucking hell, we're coming up to our little 2-month anniversary.
I know, mate.
It's mad. Welcome back to episode 7 of What's New Lads Time to Talk. Thank you for everyone that watched our football fix on the Monday and also last week's episode as well. We're doing something a bit different. As you can see, there's only 4 of us. We're just trying out a new little platform. Basically, we're going to be talking about toxic masculinity in this week's episode. So we want to try and give off a little bit more of like an intimate sort of conversation and whatnot. It's something that is quite current, and I'm sure we've all sort of like experienced it as well. And I think it'd be really good to sort of, dissect it, see what we think about it, and just sort of try and tackle it as well. So, but in usual fashion, how is everyone? Martin, how you doing, mate?
Doing well, mate. I've had quite a busy week, but I'm glad to be chatting to you guys this evening.
Good. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, all good, bro. I'm good this week.
And you, Chip?
Yeah, I'm decent, mate. I'm a bit tired today. I've had a really stressful day at work, but other than that, now I'm all right.
Financing, what's it, Lamborghinis and that?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, finance one for Firmino the other day. Mad.
That's actually crazy. Wait, so you didn't meet him, did you? You just...
No. He sends in his bank details and all of that. And then
let's not incriminate yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, I'm joking. Nah, so basically what it is, they're sending their bank details, their driver's license, all of that. Then they say what car they want. You just basically make sure everything matches, hit the activate button, done.
That's pretty sick. Can't lie, that's actually pretty sick. I actually start my new job on Monday now. Nice. Was meant to be yesterday. Yeah, it was meant to be yesterday, but I got pushed back to Monday. But I'm actually so excited to just, get back working, earning a bit of peas and that, ready for the pubs to open. You know what I mean? Want to drink, one of them ones. But yeah, Luke, take it away, mate.
Right, so yeah, as Greg discussed, we're going to be talking about toxic masculinity. First of all, I just want to go around you guys and just ask, where do you think it stems from? And do you actually know what toxic masculinity is? Greg, go on, you go first. What do you think it is?
Oh, did I look really ready then?
Yeah, you did.
Then, didn't I?
Yeah.
So I think toxic masculinity is the whole idea of this ain't a Google definition, by the way. I think it's the whole sort of the ideas of how society used to be and how it just doesn't sort of work anymore. Now, I also want to quickly say before we really get into it, these are just our thoughts and opinions. We're not stating facts, and we're just trying to educate ourselves as well before we shoot ourselves in the foot. But I think, it stems from traditional, masculine ideas that stem from patriarchy, misogyny, all this sort of stuff. And we live in a society now where those things sort of don't stand anymore. But where it's so rife and it comes back up, it becomes toxic. Do you know what I mean? The way that society works, it means that a lot of things can't happen anymore, if that makes sense. It just doesn't work. The idea of, men being breadwinners, all this sort of stuff, and a woman should stay home and just sort of be the mother to the children. It doesn't work anymore because it's just not how things are. And on top of that, it's not right. Do you know what I mean? It stems a lot from like I say, misogyny, and we live in 2021, and it's even obviously just before 2021, but it just doesn't work anymore. So I think it's the whole social construct of guys having big dick energy and just acting like twats. So yeah, that's my definition. And
then Martin, what are you thinking?
I think Greg summed up pretty nicely there, but just to add to that, I think
be original, mate. Come on.
It's this for me. It's the societal and the cultural norms of what society has originally been built on. It's that. It's sort of the cornerstone of society from the last 100 years. It's sort of developed and built off of that, and now we live in an age where feminism is quite a large part of society, and the equality is the way forward. And it's very interesting to look back over how toxic masculinity has developed throughout the past, even the last 10 years, because with the emergence of social media and stuff, you have those aspects of being an online troll where others can sort of just baff you for anything. But you also get the flip side of that, where you can kind of do and be who you want to be online, and you get a lot of support. And depending on which area of the internet you're on, it's quite interesting to see the reaction of that. But to be honest, I think Greg summed it up very nicely. What about you, Luke? What do you think?
I'm gonna go at it from a different angle. Actually, I think I think it stems from kind of when even like I'm going to talk personally, yeah. So like when I was a child, people were like, "Boys don't cry." Do you know what I mean? There is a whole toxic side of like they made you feel like you couldn't do what we're doing now. Do you know what I mean? Just talk about things properly, and no matter how you're feeling about it. I feel like that's my idea. When I hear toxic masculinity, I'm thinking boys don't cry. I'm thinking I'm gonna call someone something on PS4 and be horrible to them. I'm gonna abuse someone on social media. That kind of stuff is where I think it's kind of come to now. Whereas before, I would say like before social media, like Martin said, it was kind of how Greg explained it. But as time's gone on, it's kind of turned into like the term has changed so much that it's kind of different now. But that's the kind of angle I'm coming from it during this podcast today.
Do you think of it as sort of boys will be boys, and as you grow up and things like that, you sort of get the idea that girls are meant to be maturer, so they're kind of held to that standard a bit further. Whereas if a couple of boys get into a scrap, it's like they're just, boys will be boys. Just get on with it.
Yeah, I mean it's been put on us like that, hasn't it? Like a lot of people say boys will be boys. Like that is just what every mum says about their kid. Do you know what I mean? So it stems from just how you are brought up, essentially. But Chippy, what are you thinking about it as well?
Yeah, no, I think toxic masculinity, in terms of the way that Greg worded it, very like accurate and stuff like that. In a more like modern, like personal take on it for like myself, for example, like as you boys know, I went through like a really tough time, right? So I felt like I couldn't speak about that because if I spoke about it, I was seen as like a weak man. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes that can stem from like like the movies you watch, or like I don't know, say like TV shows, social media. See everyone like say like I don't know, like The Rock and stuff like that, like the pinnacle of what a man should be. Do you know what I mean? It's like they don't cry, they don't do anything like that. They're just pure raw testosterone. And if you're anything against that, then you're not seen as a man. You're weak, if that makes sense. So like there was many times when I would be like in my room going through like the hardest period of my life, and like I'd make sure I was alone, no one could hear me, and I'd cry then, because then I wouldn't be weak, no one would know about it. Do you know what I mean? So I think like toxic masculinity is like, for me on a personal level, it's being so deep and dark in your like own like self, and being too afraid to talk about it because you're scared of how society is going to view you.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think you made a good point on kind of talking about how people were portrayed on social media, and kind of reality TV shows. One could be like what we probably all watched at least once was Love Island. Like it's quite toxic in there. I don't know if everyone watched that. I hope you did, but
do you not watch it, Mark?
I know Martin would not watch that. Martin is he would never have watched that. I can't imagine Martin sitting on ITV Hub watching Love Island. Do you know that?
Yeah, man.
I used to love Love Island, man.
Should we go to the fire pit for a quick chat? Yeah.
I think we'll start with social media. I think we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about that. So I want to know what kind of effects you think celebrities have on kind of the toxic masculinity that is portrayed over social media. What are you thinking?
I think to be honest, it's all. I think a lot of it now also stems from like cultural differences and stuff like that. So it could be through different things like music, art, sort of like fashion, all this sort of stuff. They do embody like a certain sort of like image and stuff like that. You could argue that more, R&B music, stuff like that does sort of, personify masculinity, whereas, other sort of like genres of music might, connote more like feminine sort of like attributes. Does that make sense? So I think it's, all dependent on all sort of like, sort of like the cultural values that these people have. But like you say, that can also lead to essentially people not being brainwashed as such, but like you say, following the crowd, because, you see your celebrity idol as well, like say, like your idol, so you want to emulate them. Do you know what I mean? So you're embodying characteristics that they have that not necessarily you have, which then sort of increases the sort of like, again, toxic masculinity side of things. Do you know what I mean? So for example, from us watching shows like Love Island and whatnot, and where we're so gripped on it, the way that people perhaps behaved on them shows then rubs off on you. Do you know what I mean? Just naturally will, like, because then next time you're out with like a group of lads or your mates, whatever, whenever you see like a group of girls, do you know what I mean? You're gonna act in the same way as people act on that reality show because you think it's real. Do you know what I mean? And so like I say, it all stems from like different types of things that you surround yourself with. But there's also two sides to it when it comes to like social media. For example, I think a good example is someone like Harry Styles. Do you know what I mean? Like recently, I think he like put up a post that's like, "I'll bring back manly men," and he's wearing a dress. Do you know what I mean? He was the first British artist on Vogue in a dress and stuff like this, or like male artist. And you just think, this guy has got it all. He's got millions of fans, all this sort of stuff. And he just does what he wants. Do you know what I mean? He's promoting, you can be who you want to be. Do you know what I mean? We do live in that generation, but like we've mentioned on previous podcasts, like to do with the football one a little bit, you can also get slammed so much because to cut out these sort of like stigmas, you know, of masculinity, I don't think he'll ever disappear. We'll just learn to accept more of what's going on in the world and who people are. You can't completely abolish, toxic masculinity because, like you say, it's built on hundreds of years of just practices that we've gone over, like misogyny and all this sort of stuff, which is wrong. But it's good to see that those sort of people are using their platform for a good thing and just sort of letting it be known that you can be whoever the fuck you want to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you see someone as portrayed in that light, you're seeing, like on social media, you're seeing that ideal life, or that ideal life that person portrayed who's given that platform. And they're typically the kind of person that, you know, has a lot of money, obviously gets that lifestyle, goes to the gym a lot, obviously has that perfect body image, and is able to also alter. And it comes down to sort of like looking at plastic surgery and cosmetics and things, because they have the ability to change and alter their appearance. And when you get sort of comparisons to that, you look at yourself and you think, oh, I wish I didn't have this sort of twinge here, or this little lump here. And then when you start comparing yourself to those kind of things, it really does, it makes you think a lot more about yourself and how you can sort of achieve something similar. But I completely agree with what you were saying, Greg, there about Harry Styles and people like that. That it's all about breaking that mold and trying to, the ability to open up more with your fellow man as well. Because like there's certain things in recent years that have come more into fruition, like talking about mental health and things, and you know, having this podcast as well as a means of like discussing open topics and not being judged for that. It's very easy to get wrapped up in your own lives and think about what you've got going on, but it's just, I think it's about breaking that mold essentially. And again, what you were saying, Greg, about how it won't really go away, that feeling of being judged and having that toxic masculinity in your life, it won't ever go away, but it will mold the society, and it's something that's going to have to be worked on for years to come. But it's certainly an interesting topic, and I think it's great that people are able to open up more about this kind of thing. I know that especially us lot coming from like this football background at university, it's very easy to get wrapped up in that hooliganism. And when you get wrapped up in that kind of atmosphere, it's very easy to get carried away and say, like, you know, because it's very much do or die. I mean, sport's a very interesting one, because you look at you kind of get into the facts that, like, in sport you can see like Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, like if they like miss a penalty or lose the Champions League final, they can open up and cry on the pitch and no one bats an eyelid. But like, you know, in real, when you go back to real life and like you see someone get like pissed off on the street or something, or crying, you see a man, it's very much like, oh, what's wrong with him? Like, come on, toughen up a bit. So it's quite interesting seeing it on the flip side and that kind of in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. What about you, Chip? Have you like seen something like an example where you've been like, that is a prime case of toxic masculinity, where it's been like an incident, like a company's done something, or all this sort of like, have there been like an example that you just think this is what is wrong with, do you know what I mean, the whole sort of masculinity image?
So that's a good question. I feel like in terms of social media, for example, right, I feel like one thing that we all forget about is that 9 times out of 10, what you're seeing isn't real. Does that make sense? Like every photo that's put up of every like man or woman. And by the way, I personally think as well on social media, this might be a controversial statement, I think that women have it a lot worse than men do, to be fair. Like, because with women and all that, they're seeing like, if you don't look like this, you will never have a man, like no matter who it is. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, and then also as well, for a guy seeing that kind of woman, and then they'll see the kind of men they're hanging around with, and it's like, right, if I don't have money, if I don't have that perfect like chiseled six pack and stuff like that, then that's just, I'm never going to get myself like a really good looking girlfriend, or I'm never going to be truly happy. Do you know what I mean? When in actual fact, like half the stuff you see on social media has like that photo that's been posted is probably like the 200th attempt that they've tried taking that photo, and then it's been edited to absolute hell. So it's almost unrecognizable from the actual person.
Oh, I've got an example.
Yeah, thank God.
I'm going to go for an example of, it's very current actually. You see them 4 geezers that are wearing them skinny jeans?
Oh, yes.
I think that epitomizes what is wrong with the way we look at things now. Like, they're just 4 lads going out for a drink. Do you know what I mean? And
yes, have a little booze up.
Is so horrible to them. Like, they've made a good thing out of it now. They've used their platform to actually express kind of good things. If you look into it, like, they're actually supporting like mental health, everything like that. They're trying to get it out there. But originally they must have been so down just because of how toxic everyone was to them. The comments were horrendous. Like, I would never.
Mate, imagine like being them lads, and then you just see like one of your phones blowing up. Be like, yeah, boys, you know that photo that we took outside Spoons? Yeah. Well, it's gone viral. Everyone's seen it, and we're just getting rich. I like how they flipped it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do like how they flipped it. But you said an interesting point earlier, Chip, just then about how like social media sort of like, you know, makes you think that you need like money, all this sort of stuff. For me, an experience that I've like seen or heard of, like to do with like toxic masculinity, is that I've seen, you know, guys sort of like talk about what they want like in a woman. Does that make sense? So they're like, oh, a girl needs to have this, she needs to have money, she needs to, you know, not have slept with this many people, all this sort of stuff. And I think, or she needs to go to the gym and stuff like that. But then I look at like this person, I think, you're not doing that though. Do you know what I mean? This epitomizes what toxic masculinity is. How can you expect someone to give you something when you're not going to better yourself in that way? Do you know what I mean? Like, I've seen it before, and I just think you can't expect someone to look after themselves, not chat to certain people, if you're doing it as well. Like, that epitomizes what toxic masculinity is. Like, you've got to like treat people how you want to be treated, or, you know, do something. You know, what's the saying? It's like, I think it was like someone said, I'll never make someone do something that I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Which I think like epitomizes a lot of what relationships like should be about. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want a bird that, or sorry, I keep saying bird. If you want a girlfriend that has a nice body, has a lot of money, doesn't speak to a lot of people, you should then also be the same. You should also have a fair bit of money. You should also look after yourself, and you should also not talk to a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? So it works both ways. And again, like you say, like Martin, I don't think we'll ever come to a point in society where we get rid of it, but I feel that things are working. Do you know what I mean? And like going on to more like TV shows, on the whole flip side of it, a lot of it's become more popular, like RuPaul's Drag Race. Do you know what I mean? Which completely, absolutely wipes out the whole idea of masculinity. Do you know what I mean? It is, but it gives it a new flip on it. You know, like you say, it's giving that people opportunity to literally be who they want to be, dress up in drag, and it's popular. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of people that watch it, and it's a funny show, it's an interesting show, but again, it completely rids the sort of meaning of what toxic masculinity is, and it's really good to see. Like, it's really good to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think something I kind of want to talk about as well, we was talking about it in the group chat, was kind of the gymshark image. Yeah. And honestly, I've literally just opened Gymshark.
Did you go on their Insta? Yeah, bruv, it's bad. It is like, very bad.
There is not one person that I would ever like to be sat next to. Do you know what I mean? Because I would look atrocious next to them. Like, it is insane that they don't even, there's just nothing there. Like, companies like ASOS and that, they have like ASOS Plus, they put everything on like to make things seem a bit more normal. Do you know what I mean? But when you follow like Gymshark, it's just ripped abs, like chest of
unattainable.
Yeah, like you got to be on roids to get there, or you've got to be training for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's impossible. Like, there is such a problem with social media. I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this so much, is because social media is such a bad place to look when you're not feeling great. Unless you're on like, I don't know, TikTok because it just makes you laugh, or there's stupid stuff on it. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if you're on Instagram and you see all these things, it is not a nice place to be if you're feeling at your lowest. Do you know what I mean? What's your kind of thoughts on that kind of Gymshark image? Let's say I do this every episode, by the way. I can't believe it. I never thought I did that, but I've noticed I do it every episode. But yeah, what is your thoughts on the Gymshark image?
I think you kind of look at it from two angles. I mean, if you look at it from like the marketing point of view, the brand point of view, they are trying to portray the fact that, like, you know, this is the kind of gear you want to get yourself into the gym. You want to be wearing this. You want to be striving for this body image. This is what you want. But when you're going to the point where you're making it unattainable, you're making all these touches and this and whatever. I'm not sure what they do to the photos, but obviously they're going to get the buffest people in. And when you're setting yourself to that standard, it's a horrible place to be. And I completely agree with you, Luke. I think comparing yourself to that standard is a bit ridiculous. You can, if you're just talking to like just the like blokes like us. I mean, we're not like people that personalities don't revolve around the gym. It's a weird one to focus through. So I think you kind of have to look at it from two angles there.
What do you think, Chippy? Like, because we all go to the gym, but I remember you was going to the gym quite a lot. When was it? It was like late last year. Wasn't it like after first lockdown? I remember we used to like talk on Snapchat and you was in the gym all the time. But have you ever like seen like toxic masculinity like in the gyms and stuff like that?
I'd probably say myself, toxic masculinity, like being toxic in the gym, like not actually like toxic in the gym, but like having toxic masculinity in the gym. Just like so I follow a lot of like fitness influencers on Instagram and stuff like that.
Code word for pen girls.
No, like what is it? One person that I follow quite a lot is do you know Bazinga? That Ethan guy that's in like Sidemen. So he's like one of them Gymshark like ambassadors. He like one thing I liked about what they've done for him is that he used to be like not sugarcoating it. He used to be really big, and then like he's like really chiseled himself down now. He looks really good, and like on everything that he posts, you can see from where he was when he was big to his journey of like coming slim. He's like he's more happy and he's more confident. Like after lockdown ended, I put on like a whole like stone, mate. Like, I'm starting to get like a double chin and all that. Like it's horrible. I don't look good. I don't feel good. Do you know what I mean? And like my hair just like just shit, and that's a whole different story. But anyway, go to like the gym and stuff like that. The thing with gym is, even though, yeah, I'm not in the best shape right now, like from what I was going through that like first lockdown, the gym was like the best form of therapy without speaking to someone. Yeah, so basically what I did was I wouldn't talk about my problems, but I'd go and work out on my problems because it was the best form of therapy without having to speak to someone. So in that way I was keeping it to myself, and then I wasn't being seen as like that weak person that, you know, a man shouldn't be able to, like, a man doesn't talk about that kind of stuff. He goes to the gym, he works out, you know, he's always happy. That was the kind of image that I was like saying, not only to like everyone else, but to like myself. You know, I was lying to myself. That's why this like podcast's been great, because it's helped me actually open up a lot. But yeah, like in terms of like gym and stuff like that, I'd probably say myself being the most toxic masculine thing was just going there to avoid my problems, just working out all the time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then obviously lockdown came again and they closed the gyms. It's jarring, mate. I just want them open again, you know?
Yeah, same. When I go to the gym, I feel like the toxic masculine side of it is that I don't feel great in the gym. Like I feel like when I go in, especially when I go into the one in Essex, because everyone in Essex seems to be absolutely massive. Like it's no joke. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like doing my little weights like over in the weight section, and there's geezers like pumping and then sounding like dogs after. Do you know what I mean? Like and I'm just like, I feel like there's so much kind of judgment when you go to the gym. I feel like that's a thing that I don't like about the gym. That's why I like going to the gym at quiet times. You know what I mean? So I can just be there and actually work out what I want to work out and not feel like I'm getting looked at for doing whatever on my chest instead of what this geezer's doing.
I think when it comes to gym, the most toxic thing is guys perving. I hate it. Like I hate it. Like when I was in, is it Pure Gym? Yeah, Pure Gym in Putney. Yeah, like at Pure Gym in Putney, I see all the time like these weird, like I'm talking weird looking fellas go up to like girls and just start chatting to them. And I'd look at the girl and I think, you can tell they're uncomfortable. Just
Yeah.
like leave her alone. She's there to work out. And I see it in bars as well, where like people like try and chat up the um bartender. And I just think leave them alone. That's their job. They shouldn't feel like they're getting like pressured at their own job, their own workplace, stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I've tried getting a free drink 1 or 2 times. We're all a victim of that. You know what I mean? Some drinks are expensive in London, but you just man. I just see. I don't know. I saw it a lot at uni as well. Like you say, mine. It's to do with sport and that whole sort of like pride, sort of like mentality and whatnot. I do think it's becoming less of an issue though, if that makes sense. There will still always be like people that sort of testify against it and will sort of like not stick to their roots, but do you know what I mean? But like won't consider change. But I think with the power of social media, if it's done in a right way, then yeah, we can see a drastic improvement on abolishing these sort of like stigmas around men being men, working hard, not crying, being tough, like there's, and the whole mental health thing as well. Like I watched a few interviews and whatnot, and you do see people like The Rock and whatnot say like, mate, I've broke down before, I've had no money before, and I've channeled that into sort of like good energy. So yeah, like working out, talking to people, etc. So it's a constant battle. It's an uphill battle as well. Do you know what I mean? It's no way easy or whatnot, but I do think that there's enough good people in this world that are using their platform correctly to bring light to the sort of matter and just make everything the norm. I think one thing to sort of learn, especially in the last few years, is that people are going to be whoever they want to be. Do you know what I mean? Why does it matter? Like it shouldn't bother you at all. If someone wants to, for example, geezers wearing that wear like nail polish. I've always wanted to do it, yeah, but I've always thought, oh, that's a bit weird, or people might think, why are you doing that, mate? Do you know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. And I think as time goes on, yeah, people just learn to, people just, do what they want to do and be who they want to be. I think that's the whole sort of like point of this whole sort of chat. If I could get a message across.
The message is that Greg wants to paint his nails.
Yeah, if there's any girls out there that got any nail polish, chuck it.
No, I think you're absolutely right. But what you're saying there is like everyone that like these men going up to people. Yeah, it's like that became normalized when you started watching all them shows on TV. Do you know what I mean? Because they literally do that, and it makes you think it's normal when it's probably the furthest thing from what it should be. Do you know what I mean?
Do we want to sort of open up and say have there been times where we have been a toxic male and looked back and sort of regretted it as such? Is that something that you guys want to go into? Perhaps the way you've just sort of like acted, and it's not even to do with like relationships. Just you, son.
All right, so
Go on,
I think like as you probably well know, you lot, because you know me quite well, there's been times where I've probably been portrayed as toxic and probably have been a bit toxic towards either our mates or girls.
People. You know
what I mean? So I think that stems from the fact that you are told when you're growing up to just be a lad. Do you know what I mean? To be boys don't cry, don't be emotional about stuff, don't be this, don't be that, and it kind of breaks the fact that you can't do that. So it kind of has a massive effect on once you get to our age now, like how you're meant to act now. Do you know what I mean? Like I hope you do anyway. Like all of us seem like we know what we're meant to do now instead of not crying. Do you know what I mean? Like if something bad does happen, you can cry. If you need to cry, you can cry. It's not like a bad thing to do anymore. Whereas back when I was a kid, obviously I used to cry over pointless stuff, which is why they said don't cry, but then it gets in your brain. Do you know what I mean? So but I think I could be said to be toxic a few times, both to lads in the dressing room when we're playing football, and bro on PS4. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm horrible in the gulag. You don't want to see me there. Do you know what I mean? It's not a nice place in game chat. But I mean, what are you lot thinking? Do you think you've had kind of experiences where people would think you was that toxic guy?
Yeah, man. Like I think don't get me wrong, I'm sometimes stubborn, and I think I've used that. I've I've definitely like been in situations where I've thought I was sort of like in the right, a double standard pretty much. Do you know what I mean? I've everyone's been a victim to it. And like I say, like I've learned a lot about myself in the past. Well, being locked up, do you know what I mean? You've sort of got to find out who you are really. And yeah, I'm a lot more sort of like understanding, going back to the whole you can be whoever you want to be or whatever. And yeah, I sort of regret it as such, and I look things at a more of a mature sort of perspective now. Do you know what I mean? I'm almost turning 23, so got to start growing up a little bit. You know what I mean? Obviously, you lads are what, like 32, something like that.
Yeah,
I'll
like-
actually
like
fight you.
47.
I'll actually scrap you, bro. Calling me 32. I'm 25.
That's a soft spot, isn't it?
And then
Oh,
what about Martin and Chippy? I know like in the football environment, you've probably had toxic towards you, as well as you being maybe toxic in some cases. So what?
Oh yeah.
go on, Martin.
I think just being a part of that group, I never really was part of that kind of group until getting to university, and then when you're going out with the boys on nights out after you've had a game or something like that, it's very easy to get wrapped up in that mentality, and you're talking about girls a certain way, and you're just dicking on anyone and everyone. You're thinking you're top of the world as well. And on the flip side of that, though, also, you guys know I like my fashion as well, so I wear some wacky trousers now and then. And there were times where I was thinking, like, I there's certain things that I wanted to try and wear. I wanted to give it a go, but I just didn't feel comfortable in that environment because you get held to a certain standard. So it was kind of a bit like, where's the line here? I need to draw a line, otherwise I'm going to get called this or that or forever. And it's not that safe circle where you can open up. I mean, they're your brothers, but you can't really like talk to them like someone to get advice from. It's more a case of, we're going to go over here, we're going to drink this, and we're going to try and get with these people. That's what's going to happen.
Martin's game plan for the 21st of June? That's Martin's game plan. No, but you're absolutely right. What about you, Chippy, just before we kind of end things today?
Joining the football team with all you boys, like I kind of like, in the weirdest way, before university, I never used to go out. I didn't have my first drink till I was like 18 and stuff like that, and I just like chilled and everything. Like going to uni and then being with you boys and seeing how you all acted, I like all going out all laddish and stuff like that. I was like, right, okay, I need to change the kind of person I am in order to fit in more. So then I started like going out more and stuff like that. And then it was more of that kind of thing where it was like I was being someone I'm not at times, like being stupid. Like let's be real, boys. On a night out, like I'm probably the stupidest one to go. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember, what is it, to get into the team or something? Apparently, I said I'll buy everyone a Jaeger bomb, just to like bribe my way into the team. For goodness' sake, like who does that, bro? So like I'd say like stuff like that, where it's like, right, if these boys don't see like I'm fun or like I'm this crazy lad like they are, I won't be accepted. And in the end, I regret that because you guys are like my family. Do you know what I mean? And so that's like where I landed with it.
Yeah.
Greg, mate, you should definitely give nail painting a go. It's good fun.
Just to make it clear, I'm not talking like acrylics, like all
No judgment here, mate.
Go to the
No
nail
judgment
salon,
here.
mate.
Yeah, the old nail salon.
Those little
on Street.
extenders, yeah.
All I'm
Yeah.
talking about, just looks a bit edgy, looks a bit cool, bit of black nail polish. You know what I mean? Like that's what I meant by that. Like I'm not, whatever. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much for watching this episode. I actually really thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I know the lads did as well. It was a bit of an interesting topic, and we spoke about things that, perhaps men don't usually speak about, but I think it's really important that we did. Like I said in the beginning, it's all just our own opinions. We're not speaking, facts or anything. We just think this is what, our thoughts on it are. But if you did like this type of video and a type of video where it's just the four of us, do let us know. Leave a like, leave a comment, share it as well. Because I think this is probably one of our best episodes yet. Yeah, lads, how do you think it went? All good?
All good.
Good.
Love that. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you soon. Take it easy.
Sweet one, Greg.